All right, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. It's Dr. Ephraim. Today's date, January 26th, 2023, and I'm back at you with another one. What I wanted to do is, first of all, I want to thank everyone for, that the House Negro, Field Negro Shorts video I did went viral. I mean, it's still going crazy. Over 975,000 views on that one short. So I'm hoping that this actual presentation, a full video, will get at least a third of that. Because what I would like to do is to kind of build off of that, and I want to do an analogy on the whole house Negro, field Negro analogy. I mean, if we look at it theoretically and realistically, right, and critically sometimes, because I know we get different uh, opinions and views on that analogy. And I think that goes in it goes back to the whole Willie Lynch thing, putting the light skinned slaves versus the dark skinned slaves, and all, and then so on and so forth, right? Um, but what's true is that there were some house and field slaves who thought differently. There were some slaves in the house who thought more like the field slaves, or even vice versa, right? And so I say that to say this: uh, the house Negro, field Negro, more so, from my standpoint, is a mentality, right? Uh, the perception of the house Negro mentality is that uh, they have it good, or they have it better than um, their brothers and sisters over there or out there, or whatever the case may be. They'll sell out their brothers. They're kind of looked at as kind of traitors to their race in a sense. Um, but what's never really talked about too was that there were a lot of house Negroes who didn't enjoy being that. So again, it goes back to the perception and the mentality of what that represents, right? So that's how I'm going to address this theoretically and realistically. Because from my standpoint, it's a mentality based on how do you view things, through your scope, ideologically. How do you see yourself in terms of are you willing to contribute to the betterment of your people, and of your race, or whatever the case may be, or are you just all about self? Or are you trying to tear down your people? Or are you trying to sell out your people? I mean, all these different types of questions, we can kind of ask and go over to kind of, get to the bottom of where do you see yourself, mentally? Where do you see yourself ideologically? I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Black people have been divided way before the transatlantic slave trade. You know, um, our division goes back to the northern and southern kingdom of Israel. Really, it does. Ephraim and Judah. I did a lesson on that, right? So I don't want to put or give too much emphasis on, the enslavement of our descendants here in North America and all throughout the transatlantic, because yes, the oppressors did have a hand in contributing to that division of our people, but we've been going through this, for a very long time, long before, um, the Mayflower or the transatlantic slave trade. So I want to take this opportunity to use that to break down that Malcolm X famous ideological breakdown of the house Negro and the field Negro with this lesson. And hopefully I can get the majority of the people that responded on that short to click on this actual presentation, have a broader discussion about it, because the shorts is cool, man. But I mean, it was just, if you frame it, just like what it is. I mean, it's just, it seems a little narrow. So I kind of wanted to broaden the scope of the discussion on that by making an actual presentation, and breaking down the analogy, a closer look of the house Negro versus the field Negro. All right, let's get it. Okay. I just asked all of you that whatever you feel or think, that you respond, considerately and respectfully to everyone. Um, no profanity and, calling names, calling people's names and all that kind of stuff. You know, you feel how you feel, and I want to give everyone a voice, but just voice yourself respectfully. That's all that I ask, on this channel. Now, from my standpoint, my personal opinion is a house Negro is a person um, who's not a credit to their race or their people, right? Someone who will sell out their people, whether it be for $1 or for some money or some type of advancement, um, and it kind of touches on that whole crab in the barrel mentality, right? And when you hear terms like house Negro, you think like you hear names like Larry Elder or Clarence Thomas or Candace Owens, um, you know, names like that. You typically hear with the term, house Negro. Field Negroes, on the other hand, are blacks or people who fight for their people, who are a credit to their people, who give a voice to the suffering and the needs of their people, the injustices, right, the civil rights, right. For all intents and purposes, even though Martin Luther King was nonviolent in his approach, I would consider him a field Negro, really, if you think about it. So, which tells me, that being a field Negro has nothing. There's no attachment to any type of violence or anything. It's a mentality. That's the whole point of this analogy, right? It's a mentality. Do you have a love or hidden disdain for your people, right? I don't know if some of you remember that movie, Boys in the Hood, and there was a black officer and a white officer, and the black officer was a really really dark skinned man, and I think it was done so to make a point. And there's this one scene when he pulled over Trey and Rick, and he's really lighting into Trey, and calling him the N word. He says, "I can't stand, I hate you N words, and you ain't this and that." Well, I'm bringing that up because I think that's a sign, if you will, of a black person who has a lot of self hate, right? Um, and ironically, a lot of dark skinned black men, especially here in the South, they don't deal with dark skinned women at all. Their women, has to be either light skinned or either light or white. And I think that goes back to the whole self-hate thing. They subconsciously and maybe even consciously in some instances, they don't the color of their skin is a stigma, not just to people who look at them and view them that way, but it's how they view themselves, right? Well, I'm a dark-skinned black man, so I need a light-skinned woman to make me look better, as if their dark skin is not worthy of something, having something beautiful that's not light or not white. You understand what I'm saying? It's so deeply embedded, man. And I don't want to do a psychological breakdown of this whole house Negro, field Negro analogy, but it's really mentality, how you see yourself. you know, um, Denmark Vesey. He was in charge of the greatest slave revolt that never was. Why? Because a lot of other slaves sold him out and told of his plans, and so he was subsequently, him and all his conspirators, co-conspirators or whatever, um, were taken care of, right? And so again, it goes back to the mentality, right? Um, I think it was Ice Cube who said, I don't know who said it, but no, Ice Cube said, "My skin is my sin." But someone said, "All skin folk ain't kinfolk," right? And I submit to you all, you can have a house Negro, field Negro mentality and not even be black, to be honest with you. Because it's a mentality, man, really. And I don't want to like oversimplify it or whatever, but we have to look at this phenomenon critically, because we're talking about the advancement of a people and the factors that contribute to the or hinder that in terms of, you know, how far people get, or, if you look at like COINTELPRO, for example, this is a perfect example, right? Um, Back in the 60s, man, the FBI, they would literally have other black people infiltrate black organizations to come back with data from the groups, reporting back to the FBI, right, of what they were doing, where they were going, all these different things they would report back. So they were plants, right? Or spies, basically. I mean, people that look like me and you, hired um, to spy on these black organizations, Black Panthers, Martin Luther King Jr., Elijah Muhammad, the Nation of Islam, and the list goes on. And there was always someone that looks like me and you, because think about it. Um, Someone outside of that couldn't get in like that. So it had to be, I say this all the time. Without trust, you can't have betrayal, right? So there's always going to be a Judas, and that Judas is going to, 9 times out of 10, that Judas is going to look like you, right? 9 times out of 10. Now, I'm not saying this is exclusively true, but 9 times out of 10, the you don't have to worry about your enemies. Okay, you don't have to worry about them. You know who they are. The ones who you have to really fear are the ones you trust, right? Because those are the ones that are closest to you. You think you can trust them? Like I think, like for the butterfly effect, right? When for whatever reason, I believe it was Jesse Jackson that invited Martin Luther King to the balcony. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but um, I don't know why he wanted to invite him outside to talk. Like they was already, I mean, they were among friends on the inside. So I don't know, but if Martin Luther King doesn't go outside, the butterfly effect moment for him, the assassination doesn't happen. Obviously, that changes history if he doesn't step outside on that balcony. But I believe it's understood that Jesse Jackson is the one who asked him to go out on the balcony to speak to him out there, if I'm not mistaken. I believe. Now, again, if I'm misspeaking, someone please correct me if I'm wrong. But I believe that, yeah, he is the one who asked him to come outside to talk to him. So anyway, my point is, everyone plays a part, right? And so the house Negro, field Negro, uh, you know, phenomena is it's especially nowadays. It's a mentality. There's a whole bunch of house Negroes that really think that they're field Negroes. Let me say that again. There's a whole bunch of house Negroes that really think that they're field Negroes, right? Because and Muhammad Ali spoke on this too. He was like, "Listen, man, it's really hard to get black people to, you know, to self love each other, right? Because basically, you know, as a people, we don't know or realize this. We've adopted the ways of our oppressors. We think like them now, right? We do. We value the things that they value. We've adopted, and I say we collectively. I mean, not me personally, or maybe not even you, but y'all get what I'm saying. I'm saying we collectively, as a people or even as a nation, right? So, you know, everyone who everyone is you think is your friend is not your friend. You know, I believe it was Mike Tyson that said, everyone that helps you is not your friend, and everyone who tries to hurt you or whatever is not your enemy, or something to that effect. But I'm like, when I heard that, I was like, oh wow, that's kind of deep. But I mean, I get it, because you can't have trust without betrayal. So when you look at people that play a role in the hindrance of our advancement as a people, or the talk down or speak against our people. Look, clearly we have issues. What people doesn't, right? But at the end of the day, y'all not gonna act like black folks are just the worst scum of the earth, and there's no other people that have issues like we do, whatever the case may be. You know, Remember, our ancestors built this country for free and never got compensated for it. So miss me, right? You know, everyone wants to be. They want they want the flavor of our people, but they don't want us. They want the culture of our people, but they don't want us. They want our music. They want our dress. Our you know. I mean, the Bible speaks to this. The Bible says the children of Israel, we are the salt of the earth. Okay, we are the salt of the earth. You know, without us, man, I mean, if you take our people, and this is just, and I'm just being honest, man, historically, even though we don't get talked about or our stories don't get told, if you take our contributions to culturally to this country and just all over the world, we're looking at a completely different world, man. Just in all honesty, you know, and I'm not saying that to be, you know, to make any type of, you know, grand statement or whatever. I mean, it's just the truth. It's facts. You know, even from the top to the bottom, right? The best times in history as black people, we you know, we enjoy to our worst. You take us out, it's a different world, man. So I mean, I think it's, you know, it's kind of, you know, it's bittersweet. You think about it, you know, it's like, you know, we have contributed. Our lives didn't start and end with slavery. Okay, the house Negro, field Negro mentality existed long before the transatlantic slave trade, and that's just what it is. It's a mentality, man. Because um, light skin, dark skin, you know, this and that or whatever. It's the classic Willie Lynch, right? But there's people in those complexions that are the exact opposite of what the perception of them being. There's light skinned people that are, you know, field Negroes. I can name a couple, but I'm not. I'm, you know, I can name a couple. You know, like there are dark skinned ones who has the house Negro mentality. It's not about your complexion. It's about your mentality, man. Y'all follow me on this. Y'all can tell me what y'all think in the comment section. You know, like I said, I wanted to do a broader discussion on this based on the success of the short. It's got over 975 million views. So anyway, I'm not going to go on about it. That's my take on it. So y'all tell me what y'all think in the comment section. Again, you can say how you feel. That's all good, but just be respectful. All right. All right. Till next time, this is Dr. Ephraim signing off, saying shalom, everyone.